Hello students, welcome to Eduauraa. My name is Rajni Jha and I'll be taking Sociology optional classes. In today's session, we are going to talk about citizenship. Citizenship is relationship between an individual and a state to which the individual owes allegiance and in turn is entitled to its protection. Citizenship implies the status of freedom with accompanying responsibilities. Citizens have certain rights, duties, and responsibilities that are denied or only partially extended to aliens and other non-citizens residing in a country. In general, full political rights, including the right to vote and to hold public office, are predicted upon citizenship. The usual responsibilities of citizenship are allegiance, taxation, and military service. Citizenship is the most privileged form of nationality. This broader term denotes various relations between an individual and a state that do not necessarily confer political rights but do imply other privileges, particularly protection abroad. It is a term used in international law to denote all persons whom a state is entitled to protect. Nationality also serves to denote the relationship to a state of the entities other than individuals, corporations, aircrafts, etc., for example, possess a nationality. Then we talked about Marshall's citizenship theory. Citizenship for Marshall is a status bestowed on those who are full members of a community. Those who possess this status are equal with respect to the rights and duties that come with it. However, there is no universal principle that determines what those rights and duties shall be. Marshall divides citizenship into three parts: civil, political, and social. In early times, these three elements of citizenship were fused as a result of institutions being fused. Marshall goes on to trace the history of citizenship by studying it as a process of fusion and separation, where the fusion was geographical and separation was functional. He assigned the development of each part to a century: civil rights to the 18th century, political to the 19th century, and social to the 20th century. Now we'll look deeper in these parts of citizenship and their development. The civil element is composed of the rights necessary for individual freedom, like personal liberty, freedom of speech, right to own property, freedom of thought, etc. The institutions most directly associated with civil rights are the courts of justice. It also includes the right to work, that is, to follow the occupation of one's choice, something that was denied by both status and customs earlier. Civil rights were the first to appear in the 18th century. In its formative period, it was a gradual addition of new rights to a status that already existed. With civil citizenship, law and equality were guaranteed to protect the liberty of the people, whether it was right to work, right to move freely, etc. Civil citizenship paved the way to move towards political citizenship. The political element mainly means the right to participate in the exercise of political power as a member of a body invested with political authority or as an elector of the members of such body, where the corresponding institutions are parliament, councils of local government, etc. The political element made its appearance in the 19th century, when the civil rights attached to the status of freedom was already at the core of a general idea of citizenship. Political citizenship was meant to grant the old rights to new sections of society. Universal suffrage marked the beginning of political citizenship to individuals. However, Marshall asserted that political franchise was not one of the rights of citizenship, but actually a privilege of the limited economic class. The social element means to be able to live in a society as a civilized being, according to the prevailing standards in society, with economic welfare and security, to the right to share to the full in the social heritage. The institutions of the educational system and social services most closely connected with it. The social element of citizenship made entry much later and was originally sourced in the membership of local communities and the functional associations. This source was supplemented by a system of wage regulation that was nationally conceived and locally administered. The system of wage regulation was rapidly decaying because of industrial change and its incompatibility with the new ideas of civil rights. Thus, Marshall entered the realm of viewing citizenship from social class perspective. With the changing nature of capitalism, the nature of citizenship also changed to a more complicated version. The changing economy brought newer sections to power. The industrialists were now more powerful than the landlords that enjoyed privilege in the feudal system. The new classes that rose to power now demanded more rights, and thus they moved towards democratization to protect their interest, especially that of accumulation of property and so-called equality. The newly grown idea of citizenship was now supposed to protect the people in power, the bourgeoisie class, whose aim was to extend the capitalist market economy, and the citizenship rights were supposed to advance the process. However, the feudal class that previously enjoyed power were now left abandoned. Some rights were granted to the working class, like that of political franchise, through various socialist movements. But the varying interests of different classes gradually led to a greater conflict. While industrialists aimed for more profits and no taxation, the welfare state of social relationships needed to increase taxation. Social citizenship ensured the provision of basic necessities like health and education, along with minimum wage rules, rules for minimum hours of work, minimum working conditions, occupational safety, and compensation in case of accidents at the workplace, etc. The capitalist ideology is based on inequality and exploitation of workers, and thus the concept of social rights hurt the capitalist ideology. The state dealt with these two opposing interests by granting some rights to the working class, preventing them from proceeding to a greater conflict that could overthrow the system. The introduction of citizenship rights thus did not end inequalities, but only gave an illusion of equality, further pushing back the working class into exploitative system while consoling them with external improvements. Thus, Marshall set in motion a questioning of righteousness of democracy that only carries on the capitalist expansionism with the veil of equality.